Hello and welcome to the third devlog video for Aria. Aria is a music recommendation and playlist creation platform that I am working on developing. If you are interested to see other devlogs on how we got to where we are now, I will be sure to link the devlog playlist as well as the previous video in the description below and in a card somewhere on your screen right now. Speaking of the previous video, I ended that talking about the profile page. While that is still going to be an important piece of the app, after rethinking the goal of the app, the path forward has changed a little bit. The big plan for this month is to incorporate an Apple Music login for users. The main goal of this app is for users of all platforms to be able to interact together. Looking at the current state of the app, though there is a lot of functionality there, it is very much coded to Spotify. So the to-do list for this month is long, but I believe the outcome will be well worth it. In the time since the last video was posted, I updated the packages, removed a few that were either not being used or were causing problems, and began updating the Spotify response models to represent more specific Spotify responses. Now the plan for the rest of this month is to make generic models for everything so that Apple Music responses and Spotify responses can both be used successfully in the app. With all that being said, it is currently March 9th. There's a bit more cleanup that needs to be done first, and then we will get into making generic objects for all platforms to use. Before I get started on that, it's time to head to the gym, then get to work.
A few moments later.
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
Throughout the past week, I've been creating data models that all music API objects can be converted to. Still as of now, I'm only using the Spotify API, but the system in place now will be able to use Apple Music without much additional effort. After this was completed, I began work on the backend services, specifically the Firebase cloud functions. These functions need to map the data to the same data models so the UI knows what to expect. So I plan to continue this work today. Sometimes while working on your coding projects, you can end up going down various rabbit holes as you get new ideas. I have found myself in one of these rabbit holes. I have made some pretty large changes to the app, but unfortunately you won't be able to see much of a difference. So let me explain what I've done. At the beginning of this devlog series, the app had 3 separate pieces. The Flutter code for the front end, then 2 different backends, Firebase and a Python service. When looking to actually release the app, a goal I want to keep in mind is to keep the release as simple as possible. With that being said, this is where the rabbit hole begins. I thought it would be a great idea to remove the Python service completely to prevent me from having to deploy a custom API when that API was basically just a wrapper of the Spotify API. Instead, all of the functionality that I needed from the various music services I want to integrate with could be in the Firebase Cloud Function project. So I began to work on this, replacing all of the endpoints I had in the Python service with code in the Firebase Cloud Functions. Then this led me to realize that I need a way to manage the Spotify secrets. Luckily, Firebase provides a pretty easy way to manage secrets with Firebase secrets, and you can ingest the secrets within your functions. However, this led to another problem. To use the Spotify API, you turn your client ID and secret into an access token that needs to be refreshed every 4 hours. So you can't store this access token in the secret manager because there's no way to initialize an access token and then refresh it because it's in secrets, you just keep it there. My solution to this was to make another endpoint that takes in an authorization code from the front end, authenticate the user against the music API in the cloud functions, and finally, assuming that they logged in successfully, have them authenticated within Firebase Authentication. I'll make a more detailed video about how all of this works, as it can be used when integrating with many other services that use OAuth2. Long story short, the authentication system has completely changed this week, and the only 2 pieces left to fix are the routing and to rewire the other cloud functions that I had to set up the user. So with all of that being said, let's get into finishing up these 2 things. Well everyone, I think that is going to wrap it up for this devlog. For the rest of the month, I will be cleaning up all of the code as I did make quite a few changes. I want to be sure that the codebase is in a good place before beginning to implement Apple Music next month. Thank you all for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them down below, but that was all I had for you. I'll see you all later.